3 losses in a row, down in 6th place, and top 4 hopes severely dented. Serious questions are now being asked about Mikel Arteta. So in today's video, let's break down his Arsenal future. Has Alexandre Lacazette confirmed he's leaving? What's William Saliba revealed about his plans for next season? And is Martin Odegaard set to be the next Arsenal captain? Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Babs14. Welcome back to your boys channel and a gargantuan thank you. Arsenal might have been letting us down, but you guys have most certainly not. A gargantuan thank you for 80,000 subscribers. It is mental. The support that you guys show your boys channel on a consistent basis really is fantastic to see. So my friends, if you enjoyed this video, smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And now 80k is done. It's on the road to 90,000 subscribers. Let's go. But let's get into the Arsenal news, and starting off, let's talk Mikel Arteta. Having lost our last 2 games against Crystal Palace and against Brighton, this weekend started off in a different manner, as despite being massive favourites, Spurs lost 1-0 at home against Brighton, taking 3 points off Spurs in a must-win game for them, allowing Arsenal the opportunity to go back on level points with 1 game still in hand. But did Arsenal take that opportunity? No, we did not, as Arsenal played against Southampton at St Mary's and lost 1-0. Now in terms of the XG, it suggests that Arsenal were actually unlucky, with a 1.72 XG compared to Southampton's 0.65. Now Arsenal had chances in this game, but how many big chances did Arsenal have? Apart from Bukayo Saka and maybe Emil Smith Rowe in the second half, there weren't that many big opportunities. And essentially what we saw in this game was Arsenal give Southampton the initiative, give them a very cheap goal, which by the way Aaron Ramsdale should be doing so much better for. But after that moment, Southampton just sat back in a deep block and said to Arsenal, here's the ball, let's see what you can do. So while the XG suggests that Arsenal were unlucky, ultimately speaking, all it showed was that Arsenal, given the ball, had a lot of shots, but not many clear-cut chances. After the game, Mikel Arteta says Arsenal missed a huge opportunity after Spurs' defeat, saying it's very disappointing and difficult to explain. But this is what makes the sport different, because again, in basketball, if you have 25 shots and the opponent has 1, you win 10 out of 10. In terms of the system in the first half, again, leaving Albert Sambi Lokonga deserted in midfield was a tactical error made by Mikel Arteta. And that is why in that first half, Arsenal struggled to make any clear-cut chances or have any good central progression. And that is very annoying, and the reason behind that is because it was the same error Arteta made against Brighton. So you're thinking potentially Arteta has learnt from his previous errors, but unfortunately that was not the case. And talking about struggles, here's a stat for you: that Arsenal have scored just 2 goals from the last 73 attempts in the Premier League. And over the last 5 matches, they've had an XG of 6.91 compared to the opponent's 4.46, with Arsenal scoring only 2 and the opponent scoring 8. This again suggests that Arsenal actually are being unlucky. And in Arsenal's last 2 games against Brighton and of course against Southampton, Arsenal won the games on expected goals, but you don't win games on XG, you win games on actual goals. And in terms of scoring goals, Arsenal now rank 19th for underperformance of their expected goals. Essentially speaking, Arsenal have created 10 extra goals that they have failed to take. But we all know that Arsenal need a brand new striker and will sign a brand new striker in the summer transfer window. What's an even bigger concern for me is the fact that Arsenal have won 17 Premier League games this season. On 16 of those occasions, they've opened the scoring. The one game they went behind and won was a 2-1 win over Wolves. To put it very simply, when Arsenal concede the first goal, Arsenal most likely don't win that game. So for an Arsenal team that has talked about new characters, new leaders, and this brand new regime behind the scenes, it's well and great to hear about those characters behind the scenes, but as things stands, we're not seeing that on the pitch. But ultimately speaking, Arsenal are in stinky form. 0 wins, 0 draws, 3 losses, 0 points out of 9, 1 goal scored and 6 goals conceded. We are now into the business end of the season. The fact these Arsenal players have collapsed so dramatically, despite of the injuries of Thomas Partey, Kieran Tierney and Tomiyasu, it's still a massive concern that going into the future, do these players have the mental capacity to cope in tough moments? And also in terms of Mikel Arteta, missing 3 key players, we asked questions of him of can he now adapt his tactics? Can he find different ways to innovate his team despite the key injuries? Mikel Arteta hasn't really shown the ability to adapt and work a way around that. But on the Arsenal manager, after 3 consecutive defeats in the business end of the season, seeing that top 4 get further and further away, and seeing us unable to capitalise on Spurs' defeats, I have seen a lot of Arsenal fans over the past few weeks turn on the Arsenal manager. And now there are serious questions over his Arsenal future. Is Mikel Arteta's time at Arsenal soon going to come to an end? Well, Well, my friends, the simple answer to that is no. And that is because as it stands, Stan Kroenke, Josh Kroenke, the Arsenal board, the Arsenal dressing room are all still backing the Arsenal manager. And this can be shown by the recent report from Chris Wheatley that confirms that Arsenal are in the market for at least 3 new players this summer. They want to sign new players in central midfield, 2 forwards as well as a new fullback, with Stan Kroenke set to back Arteta with significant funds. The fact these reports are still coming out despite of Arsenal's defeats and Champions League football looking unlikely, it shows that Mikel Arteta still has the trust of the Arsenal board, and that is the most important thing in terms of his Arsenal future. They've already given him £150 million to spend last season. The year before that, they signed Thomas Partey for the release clause of £50 million. And more importantly, the fact after 3 consecutive defeats, there is not even a single rumour, a whisper, even an unreliable source claiming that Arteta's job is under a single ounce of pressure. It says to me that the Arsenal hierarchy are still unwavering in their support for the Arsenal manager. What do you guys make of his future, and do you think it's right that the Arsenal board are still so supporting? Do you still trust in Mikel Arteta to turn it around? And do you still think in the long term Arteta will be the right guy for Arsenal Football Club? But for now, it's about the Champions League, and after Spurs' defeat, you also had Man United win 3-2 against Norwich at home. And the next day you had West Ham drawing 1-1 with Burnley. And this is how it's left the Premier League table, with Arsenal now down in 6th place on 54 points, 3 points off 4th place Spurs with still 1 game in hand. So as bad as Arsenal have been, mathematically speaking and even logically, Arsenal are still in this top 4 race. And the fact that Spurs lost against Brighton at home, a game they should be winning with the form they're in, it shows that these guys are still very vulnerable, that if Arsenal could turn their form around, maybe, just maybe, I'm being delusional here and I'm being very optimistic, but they can turn it around and find a way. But unfortunately for Arsenal, there are big issues. First things first in terms of injuries, secondly in terms of being bang out of form, and most importantly, we have some really difficult fixtures upcoming. And those are going to be Chelsea away, United at home, West Ham away, Leeds at home, Tottenham away, Newcastle United away, and finally Everton at home. If Arsenal have even a sniff of somehow turning this around, these next 3 games against Chelsea away, West Ham away, Man United at home, they might just need to win every single one of those games and maximise 9 points out of 9. But in terms of our next game, we of course are travelling to Stamford Bridge, and here's a stat for you guys that Arsenal have just lost 1 of the last 4 trips to Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. Now the form might be decent there, and yes, we also beat Chelsea last season at Stamford Bridge. But as things stands, Chelsea have just turned around their form, and they've just won an FA Cup semi, and they just made their way into an FA Cup final. And then you have an out of form Arsenal team, 3 losses in a row, but understanding that if they were to somehow win this game, they would go level with 4th place Spurs on points. When I say the words gargantuan and massive, Chelsea versus Arsenal on Wednesday is the definition of that. Do you still sniff an opportunity? Do you still dare to hope as an Arsenal fan? Or are you like most Arsenal fans saying the race for the Champions League is all but basically over? Moving on, let's discuss Alexandre Lacazette's recent interview. Alexandre Lacazette was not involved in the last game against Southampton. Eddie Nketiah started in his absence, and the reason behind that was apparently COVID-19. And now that we're going into the game against Chelsea, Alexandre Lacazette was once again missing in training. But more importantly, Lacazette has also been making the headlines today, and it's not for the best of reasons. As when he was asked on if he's in talks with Lyon, he says, "I'm in discussions with a lot of clubs. I'm open. I never cut contact with Lyon since I left. I try to go back to the club once or twice a year. So now Lyon know I'm free, they've come for my information." Now the fact that Lacazette is a free agent, for me, these quotes aren't really surprising. I kind of understand that Arsenal aren't going to offer him the long-term contract that he requires. So with him being on the cusp of free agency, I'm not surprised that he's negotiating with other clubs. But what I am surprised is what follows next. And when he was asked on if he would like to return to Lyon without European football, he says, "It's a bit more complicated. I want to play in Europe. It's been a long time since I've played in the Champions League too. I miss it. Nothing is impossible in life, but it's a bit more complicated." So coming from a guy that has scored 2 goals from open play in the entirety of a season for a team that wants to qualify for the Champions League, this guy has the audacity to come out and say, "Hey, I want to go to a club that's playing in the Champions League." Quite a few Arsenal fans have seen these comments and they are calling out as simply disgraceful. But for me, once again, it pushes me towards the future, and I understand that Lacazette isn't that guy. So the fact that he's essentially confirming that he's going to leave Arsenal, I'm not really against that. But be sure to talk to me down below in the comments and let me know your own thoughts on these quotes coming from Alexandre Lacazette. But going into the future, talking about future potential Arsenal strikers, let's talk Victor Osimhen, because according to Napoli journalist Emmanuel Camarotto, the idea of Napoli is to keep him for at least another season unless there are important offers. At the moment, Arsenal have come forward and spoken with the players' environment. So a reporter that is close to the club in Napoli confirms that Arsenal have contacted the people of Victor Osimhen. The player is flattered by our interest, and most importantly, Arsenal are leading the race to sign the Nigerian international. But for a player the quality and the potential of a Victor Osimhen, I still believe that Arsenal will require to get Champions League footy first. But what do you guys make of Victor Osimhen, and do you believe that he's a solution for the Arsenal attack going into next season? According to the reliable Mike McGrath of The Telegraph, Arsenal have added Hoffenheim's Florian Glirich to the list of summer targets and are prepared to compete with Champions League clubs for the midfielder when he is expected to be among the high-profile Bosmans, with his contract expiring in the next 2 months. This guy is an Austrian international, he's 26 years of age, he plays for Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga and is most importantly a free agent at the end of the season. In terms of the type of profile, he is a number 6 defensive midfielder and also can play as a centre-back. And if Arsenal were to sign him, I think he would be almost a backup player to Thomas Partey in the 4-3-3. But to be completely and entirely honest, have I watched this player play? The answer is no. So to the fans that have watched Florian Glirich in action, the Austrian international, on a free transfer at the end of the season to play as a backup number 6, do you believe that he would be a smart signing? Okay, let's move on to the other Arsenal news today. And starting off with Arsenal's French centre-back, or should I say French international centre-back, in Mr. William Saliba, of course on loan at Marseille. When Saliba was asked on if he would like to stay at Marseille past this season, he said, "There's always a chance. I won't hide that because I'm very happy at Marseille. I've developed, I've passed a milestone, I've gone to the French national team thanks to Marseille because there's a lot of visibility. We'll see in May or June." For the Arsenal fan base that is desperate to see the Mbappe centre-backs return to the Emirates Stadium, these are not promising quotes, but at the same time I do understand them. He's never made a competitive appearance for Arsenal in the past. He's gone to Marseille, a team that is in the Europa League. He's performed to a very high level and therefore made it into the French national team. The fact that he has now played for France, most importantly, the World Cup's coming in December, and I'm sure with the ambition of William Saliba, he wants to be playing at the World Cup. So if he was to come back to Arsenal and let's just say wasn't an automatic starter with Ben White and Gabriel, the fact that he could be starting for Marseille instead, maximising his chances of making that World Cup squad, for me, I understand why he's saying this. But at the same time, for Arsenal's sake, he is still an Arsenal player, and hopefully, as Mikel Arteta and Edu Gaspar have always said, they stick to their plans, they stick to their guns, and bring the Mbappe centre-backs back to the Emirates Stadium. But now that you guys have heard these quotes from William Saliba, what are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments. Mikel Arteta, when speaking on Martin Odegaard being the next Arsenal captain, said, "The most important thing is respect and admiration from his teammates. He represents everything we want in his club. He is a good option for the captaincy." And with Lacazette not playing against Southampton, Odegaard was given the Arsenal captain's armband, and to be honest, he put in a pretty average performance. I myself don't want to be that reactionary because this guy still is so young and has so much room to improve. I mean, there's a reason why he's been given the captain's armband of his country in Norway at this young age. What do you guys make of the Arsenal captaincy? And with Lacazette leaving, Aubameyang already gone, who do you guys think should be the next Arsenal captain? Is it Martin Odegaard or is it someone else in this Arsenal team? But that is the video there and there. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed as always, and if you have, smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. A gargantuan thank you for 80k. Follow your boy on all of the social medias if you would like to. The links will be down below in the description. But that was all of the latest Arsenal news today, and even though Arsenal look to be out of it, a massive game looms on Wednesday. Now if they were somehow to win against Chelsea, then somehow in some way we're back in this race for the Champions League. I'm not saying we're gonna do it, but I'm also saying I don't think it's completely over. Maybe I'm just being hopeful, but that's just me as an Arsenal fan. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves, and in a bit.